This year I put together my top 5 real estate predictions for 2026, and in this video I'll be mostly referring to the Fraser Valley market, which is where I do most of my real estate transactions. If you guys want to book an appointment and talk about your property specifically, or if you live in a surrounding area and are a little bit curious about that, you can definitely click the link below and book a 30-minute call with me. And if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. Now let's dive into my top 5 2026 real estate predictions. Let's talk about interest rates. I think this year we're going to see interest rates hold steady, and that goes for both fixed rates and variable rates. And just as a reminder, the variable rate is based off the overnight lending rate that the Bank of Canada determines. And they meet 8 times each year to announce whether that overnight lending rate is going to increase, decrease, or hold steady. So last year in 2025, the bank reduced rates 4 times by 25 basis points each time. So we started the year off at an overnight lending rate of 3.25 and we ended with 2.25. The variable rate again is based on that, and it's usually 2% higher than that overnight lending rate. We are seeing variable rates available right now just over the 4% mark. The bank will meet again 8 times this year, as they always do, and I really believe that they're just going to hold rates. During 2020 and 2021, the overnight lending rate was at an all-time low of 0.25%, which did not do the economy or the housing market well. It was virtually free to borrow money. Therefore, the real estate prices just shot through the roof in a very short period of time. Fast forward to 2023, we saw a massive increase in the overnight lending rate, and it went as high as 5%. So since then, 2023 till now, we have come down substantially, and I don't think that it'll go much lower because we all saw the negative effects that going too low has on the real estate market and the economy in general. As far as fixed rates, they're totally different than variable rates, being that they are based on bond yields. And in more recent times, we've actually seen bond yields slightly go up. So right now, I personally just got a new property and I locked in just under 4%. So I got a 3-year fixed rate for 3.99%, which I was pretty happy with. And I don't think they're going to go much lower than that. If anything, I actually think that the fixed rate might go up a tiny bit near the end of the year. Looking back historically, rate around 4% is good. Variable will hold steady. Fixed rates, I think, again, holding steady, but if anything, even a little bit of an uptick near the end of 2026. Prediction number 2 is that we will see sales volume increase, and I think we're going to see active listings decrease. 2025 saw 25-year sales lows for the Fraser Valley and Vancouver real estate market. Looking at all of Canada, we are still well under the 10-year rolling average for number of sales, and that's again for all property types. I'm seeing personally a lot of sellers get more realistic with their listing prices, and a lot of buyers are ready to jump into the market. We've seen consumer confidence rise, and that attributes also to the rates that we've seen drop over the past couple of years. The reason I think we're going to see active listings decrease is because we're seeing sellers get more realistic. So the first few weeks of January, I've already been on quite a few market evaluations. Sellers that I'm telling their price that they want is just not possible in today's market. They're actually taking that feedback and digesting it and saying, okay, well, let's either rent the property out, let's just hold on and see if the market takes a rebound, which of course it will over time. Definitely that's something I'm seeing sellers really understand now, whereas in the past couple of years, they'd still kind of want to try to put it on at the higher number and see if they get lucky, but that's just not happening, unfortunately, in today's market. Pulling up sales across the Fraser Valley for all property types. 2021, again, that was the peak of the market there, and we saw a massive decrease in the number of sales across the Fraser Valley, slowly replenished in 2023, and it's just tapered off and gone down quite a bit at the end of 2025 there. We were at our all-time low, and again, the lowest it's been for over 25 years in the Fraser Valley and Vancouver region. So it is expected because we are starting to see the market shift, people get back out there, and the listings that are out there are getting more and more on point with the price that they need to be at. And so for all those reasons, it does make make sense for us to see an increase in sales transactions for 2026. I don't think it's going to be a standout year, to be clear. I think that we are slowly rebuilding. It'll be a slow incline, but definitely both buyers and sellers, from what I'm personally seeing, are being realistic, and buyers are being smart too. Like, they take their time, they get to do their subjects, they get to really think about the property and not just panic buy. And sellers are being educated in terms of price points. And I think that that's definitely something that we've been waiting on, and it's been a little bit rocky over the past few years, but we're finally coming together, and I'm definitely seeing a shift in a positive way. Prediction number 3, sale prices. I believe sale prices are going to continue to come down over the course of the year. And I think that for all asset classes, so detached properties, townhomes, row homes, and condos. The one sector I've seen get hit so hard over the last year were condos, specifically 1-bedrooms and studios. They've dropped substantially. I'll show you guys what I mean about the condo market. So I brought apartments. I hit on 1-bedrooms there. We started the year 2025 at $450 for a 1-bedroom in the Fraser Valley, and they went up a little bit in February, so $460. Look how much they came down. Like, you can get a 1-bedroom for $400,000. That's a really big change in the course of 1 year. And, I'm seeing 1-bedroom condos in Langley, Langley City, even parts of Willoughby Heights, the southern parts of it. They're listed at $399, and some of them even have dens. So, like, we haven't seen those prices in years for a condo. Like, I haven't seen a 3 in front of a condo in Langley for quite some time. And now you certainly can pick up a condo for that price. I actually just sold a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom in Cloverdale, and the list price on that one was $500,000, and we ended up selling for $492,500. So you can even get a 2-bed, 2-bath in Langley and Cloverdale for a little bit of an older building, but you can still get in there for under $500,000. So definitely some opportunity in the condo sector right now. Here are sale prices over the last 10 years. Really have been on a trend of coming down. So red, we have the detached properties in the valley, greens, townhomes, and purples, condos. And condos, we've seen such big price reductions on them because we've lost our investors. So a lot of investors have left BC and they've gone to places like Alberta, so Calgary, Edmonton, where they don't have rental caps. If you've read the BC Tenancy Act, it is so in favor of tenants. We have rental caps here. So you go to renew your mortgage goes up several $100s a month, and you can only raise the rent, $20, $30, depending on what they're paying for rent. It is challenging. And I think we've seen a lot of frustration from the investment sector. And so they're not buying up those condos that they once were. Like, a lot of condo buyers, especially in the Fraser Valley, are investors because the numbers did used to work with the lower rates. But since rates have slightly increased, we're just seeing prices come down in that area. And I think a lot of first-time home buyers who are also condo purchasers for the most part, they are having a hard time getting in the market. And I hope that that's something that changes. We definitely needed to see condo sale prices soften. I just wasn't expecting to see them soften that fast over the last year. That one's taken the biggest hit. So I think that the condo market will plateau and hover, but things like the detached market and townhome market, I do believe prices will still slowly decline over the next year. Not a lot, but I do feel that there's a little bit more room because we are still in a downward trending market. And again, I don't think it's going to crash or fall out of the sky, but I do think that there is still a little bit more room for prices to fall. Prediction number 4 is that rental prices will decline. Over the past year, we saw so many pre-sales come to completion, especially in Langley. So there are a ton of condos that need to be rented out. And when that happens, obviously, it's a race to the bottom. Who's got the most competitive pricing? Here is the rental apartment vacancy rate for BC, Vancouver, and Victoria. Since mid-2023, the vacancy rates have really shot up, and I anticipate that that will continue to happen. As I was saying earlier, when I go into the market evaluations for condos, sellers are anticipating that their home is worth a lot more than it actually is, and a lot of people are sitting at a loss right now. Most of the pre-sales, we saw a massive boom in 2021 and 2022. 2022. So if you were a purchaser, an investor at that time, and you bought a condo that was set to complete in 2025, 2026, which a lot of them are, you're more than likely sitting at a loss right now, meaning you bought it for higher than it's worth today. Therefore, you're almost forced to either move in yourself or rent it out to weather the storm. And so because of that, we are seeing a lot of rentals on the market right now. I think that that's going to be the case throughout 2026 as more are set to complete. This chart's from rentals.ca, and it shows a 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year rental price difference in different cities throughout Canada. Vancouver has really come down. Between now and 2 years ago, they've gone down 15%. The only areas that have increased over the past 3 years is Ottawa and Edmonton, with almost 15%, which is pretty interesting, actually, that Edmonton would see an increase in rental prices. And it might be because they don't have rental caps. So more investors go out there, they move from BC, and they're now investing in Alberta, Edmonton specifically, just because the price point's even lower than Calgary. And they can go in and charge whatever they want for rent, whereas we are limited with that in British Columbia. Prediction number 5, I'm going to talk about market conditions for every asset type. So what type of a market I think detached, townhomes, and condos will be in throughout 2026. Let's first take a look at the detached market. So those have been in a buyer's market for the last couple of years. And I think that that's going to be the case in 2026. So a buyer's market means that buyers have the upper hand when purchasing a detached property, and that the sellers have to be quite competitive in their pricing and make sure their home shows like a 10 out of 10 in order to get that property sold. Otherwise, because we have so much inventory on the market for detached homes, buyers are just going to either wait or continue to look around until they find the best deal out there. A buyer's market means that you have 6+ months of inventory. And how we calculate that is we take the number of active listings and divide that by the number of sales in that given month. So that number that's produced right now is quite high. Right now in the Fraser Valley board, months of inventory is sitting at 7 months for a detached property. And that means that if no new detached homes came on the market in the Fraser Valley, it would take us approximately 7 months to sell out. That's pretty high. Where a normal market's around 3 to 4 months of inventory. That's a healthy market. So that tells us that there's definitely a lot of supply out there, and maybe the prices are still a little bit too high for detached in some cases. I anticipate that months of inventory is going to remain around the 6 to 7 month range, and that goes for Fraser Valley and Langley. Langley might get a little bit into balanced territory by the end of the year should we continue to see sellers get more realistic with their prices, because I know that there's a lot of buyers out there who are interested and looking. I host open houses and they're actually quite busy, especially in the last 2 weekends. So that's a good sign, and there's definitely interest out there. As long as the prices are right and the home shows well, they should start to sell. And I'm hopeful that the absorption rate comes down, but I don't think that it's going to come down over the next year. I think that we still are going to remain in a buyer's market. It might come down closer to the 6 month range, but I think that we have still a ways to go to get into balanced market territory for the detached market anyway. Townhomes, I feel, are going to be in a balanced market. Right now in Langley, townhomes are sitting at 2.8 months of inventory, so that is a seller's market. And for the Fraser Valley, they're sitting at 4.2 months of inventory, which is a really nice, healthy, balanced market. The townhome market has always been pretty strong, especially in Langley and the Fraser Valley, and that's because it's an awesome alternative for a detached home, right? Like if you want to be in a certain neighborhood, maybe you have kids that need to be in a certain catchment, the gap between a townhome and a detached property is still pretty large, and you can get a 3-bedroom townhome now in Langley, if it's a bit older, for $800,000, even less now, whereas a couple of years ago they were selling for over $1 million. I just listed a nice 2-bed and a den in Clayton Heights, 5-year-old complex, really shows well. well. And we're listed at 725. So next step up from there to get into a 3-bed, you know, between 750 and 800,000 for your entry level 3-bed is a great alternative compared to the detached properties, you know, which are quite a bit higher. And so I always think that there's going to be room for that market, especially because we have so many new townhomes and a lot of people like new products, right? So they look good. You don't have to worry about repairs or maintenance anytime soon. So there's definitely always going to be a good market for that in my area anyway, because I deal in areas with a lot of younger families and professionals who do appreciate walkability and having something that they feel good about. Condos, oh man, these have been tough. So I feel condos are definitely going to remain in a buyer's market over the next year. They're my biggest struggle right now in terms of when I get a listing. They're the hardest ones for me to sell, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Great if you're a condo buyer, I would definitely consider getting in there, but condo sellers, it has been frustrating for sure. Fraser Valley board sitting at 6 months of inventory. Langley shows for condos sitting at 5 months, although again, that's for all condo types, 1, 2, and 3 beds. 1 bedrooms and studios, so the smaller types are even more of a challenge. And again, a major reason is because we have lost a lot of investors and first-time home buyers. It's tough to get pre-approved when you don't have any equity built up in a previous property that you can sell and use towards your next property. I wanted to bring this graph to your attention. In blue, we have new listings, and in red, we have actual sales. It's clear the gap between sales and what's out there has definitely widened in the last year. And that's another reason why sales have been really slow, because when you have a lot of product out there and low sales, obviously choice is pretty plentiful for buyers. And that's another indication to me why we're going to continue to see sales, you know, potentially go down, most likely go down. And again, not by a lot, but when this gap is as large as it is, you know, compared to, look at 2021, I mean, that was the peak. There was pretty much everything that was out there was selling, right? Like the absorption rate was really good. Whereas now it's just so slow. And that's why I don't think we're going to have a really interesting year. I think it's going to be pretty even keeled. And again, that's a good time if you're a buyer to jump in, because you have choice and time, and those are things that you need when purchasing something as important as your house. That's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed my 5 predictions for 2026. Let me know what you think in the comments, if you agree with me, disagree, and again, if you have any other questions and want to jump on a call, you can do so by clicking the link in the description below. And finally, if you can hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.